I have never felt this way before. Yep, I'm feeling sick in the guts, but I'm not spewing. Something else is happening. And I hate this because it's in the middle of the night and I've got another at least 5 or 6 hours of sleep ahead of me. I'll be back with you. Good morning, everyone. I believe it's still before lunchtime. Isn't that terrible that I don't know? Don't even know what the date is. 25th, 26th, 27th, 20. Okay, it's the 29th today. I know that because my MRI was on the 25th. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about this morning is my MRI. Now, over the past couple of years, but last year, this time last year, I saw neurosurgeons at a public clinic, the Gold Coast University Hospital. Now, I told them that my lumbar area, my sacral area, was much worse than my thoracic area. But the head doctor, so you speak to the trainee doctor, not the trainee doctor, it's the next one up really, and they speak to, I think, the registrar or the consultant. I'm not too sure in the public system. I should have looked that up before I started this video. So anyway, he went to see her and he told her the symptoms that I'm experiencing. She came into the room. Now, I had expressed in the past that I wanted to see the head doctor, but that was ignored because she had to see other patients. So, okay, fair enough, yep, and there is someone always worse off than myself. But last year she actually came in to see me, and at that stage I was having 6 monthly MRIs. Now, she said to me, whatever you do, don't lift anything heavy, okay, because your thoracic area is quite bad. Didn't think about whether there was even a lumbar or a sacral MRI taken. Wasn't aware. And when you go through the machine, you don't really know yourself anyway. You don't see the referral because they write the referral up and they send it to that department. So you don't see the referral. I talked about in all of my appointments how my lumbar and sacral area were the worst. My hip was aching, my groin inside and outside were aching all the time. I had the occasional electric shock down my left leg that shot down from my gluteus maximus right down to the back of my heel. Gluteus maximus is my bum, by the way. And the only reason why I know that is because we used to joke around when I was going through nursing school. So anyway, I spoke about that, and I didn't really speak too much about my thoracic area, which is the mid-back, because that didn't really hurt as much. It followed. So if I didn't sit down after my lumbar and sacral area would hurt, then my thoracic pain would follow. like a snowball effect. Okay, it's all great. I've always said this to the specialist, last year to the specialist herself, the year before that to the person you actually talk to in the room. They make you do some stretches and things like that to sort of ascertain what the problem might be. I've never really seen the doctor that they go to confirm, to tell her the symptoms and what the problem would be. But I did last year. This time around, when I was waiting to have the MRI, they do confirm with you what type of MRI that you're having, like an operation. Do you know what operation you're having just before you go into the theatre? They do the same thing in radiology. And I said, my sacral, lumbar and thoracic areas as far as I know. She said, oh, you're only down for thoracic. If I could tell you how angry I was at that stage, because I know I had mentioned my lumbar and sacral area, but that specialist, whoever she was, head doctor, whatever you call her, referred me to have a thoracic one done instead of the lumbar and the sacral. I was so mad. I spoke to the doctor that day in radiology and I said, look, this is not right. I should be getting the lumbar and the sacral area done as well. To be honest, I said it was a snowball effect. If I didn't lie down after getting lumbar and sacral pain, the thoracic pain would follow then. But yes, I do get pain in both areas, and it's all the time now. There's never a break in pain. He then decided to take it upon himself to include the lumbar and the sacral area. So this time when I go to see the doctor on the 15th of August, I'm going to make sure I note not only that I want a second opinion, because obviously they're not listening to what I'm saying, or I may even go and see a private neurosurgeon. I don't know yet. I don't know what's going to happen, and I may have to pay for the operation myself. But I'm going to mention to them that this time I need you to listen to what I'm saying, because you've only MRI'd the thoracic area in the past. This time it was the thoracic area as well. It's not just the thoracic area that I have an issue with. I've always told them, or told you, because I'll be speaking to them like this, that it's my lumbar, sacral and thoracic areas that hurt. Now I remember specifically when I walked out of that office this time last year, the head honcho says to me, now please don't go lifting anything heavy. Putting two and two together now, knowing that she was only going to give me an MRI of the thoracic area, she was referring to my thoracic disc bulges. Obviously, if I was to lift something heavy, it might trigger one to bulge or to prolapse, which is technically what I have, prolapsed discs with impingements to the nerves. I'm on so much medication that I don't really have an emotional status. But if I wasn't, I would be extremely angry right now, because for the past 3 years and for the past 2 years, I've been the neurosurgery's patient. I'm very angry because they haven't heard what I've been saying. So basically, for the past 2 years, they've been giving me, well, I had CT scans as well, which followed with MRIs, because that's what the radiologist said at the CT scan, that they suggest MRIs to really pinpoint where the problem lies. They can see that there's a problem with the disc, but it's not just clear enough. So MRIs, which I've had for the past 2 years. So besides the last one that I've just had, which I had to be sedated for, because it was quite a lengthy MRI, and I think this time around, because I had said to the doctor who's I don't know, he must read the things there and then, just to make sure that nothing's really urgent. Anyway, I think he has obviously made sure that this time the correct areas are actually MRI'd. Feeling wise, I am so angry with the doctor that decided not to listen to me, not to hear that it was my lumbar and sacral areas with the worst pain. As it turns out right now, both areas constant with pain. I have had an addition to my pain relief, which was 2.5 milligrams of a very strong drug. I'm allowed to take up to 15 milligrams a day, which is 5 milligrams 3 times a day. At the moment, it's not in my Webster packs, which is why I'm just very cautious with what I'm saying. So I guess what I'm saying is, if there's any doctors out there listening, especially neurosurgeons in the public system of Queensland and the Gold Coast, listen to your patients. They're the ones coming to you with the pain, with the problem. And I'm just sorry that I didn't realise this at the time. The drugs have had a very sort of bad effect with me, with brain fog. I haven't been able to actually go into the office and relay the pain that I have. So I've learnt over 3 years that I now jot things down onto paper, or I go in with my notepad on my phone. Sorry, dry mouth. Hang on a sec. Which is coming to an end. And it's water, by the way. I put it in that beside my bed, so it's easy access. And if it does spill over, well, it doesn't spill over. It's got a foolproof, reusable straw. See, brain fog. Took me a little bit to get that. So if there are any doctors out there on the Gold Coast in Queensland that decide upon themselves that someone's pain in another area doesn't warrant to have an MRI done on, which I don't understand why they wouldn't, because you're having the MRI anyway. I know MRIs can cost hundreds of dollars here in Australia. I know many years ago when I had my very first one, I paid $800 for. I was working, didn't have a healthcare card. I was working in a full-time job, actually, and I didn't have a healthcare card. So here in Australia, you don't get one without your healthcare card, or you have to pay for it. So it was $800. It's a lot of money. So hear me out, doctors. And I have had 2 bad experiences with doctors, and I'll get on to the other one very shortly, because I do want to add that to this video as well. If there are any neurosurgeons out there, or any specialty doctors on the Gold Coast, Australia, rethink and listen to what your patients are saying. It's not fair. It's really not fair that you take it upon yourselves to, how can I put it? When they think they know what the problem is, so they sort of, look, doctors are learning every day, and you guys made a mistake, because the last 2 MRIs obviously were not of my lumbar and sacral area. And I was telling you that that's where the main pain was coming from. So shame on you. Shame on you, doctors. Shame on you. And I'm going to ask for a second opinion. I do believe that is my right. Don't know whether it's going to happen. Wouldn't have a clue. For all I know, they could just send in another male doctor pretending to be the head honcho. I wouldn't know. And with the medication I'm on, it's horrific. It's all blasé. It's like, I believe what they're saying. It's my belief that I've got prolapsed discs in my thoracic to my sacral area with impingements to certain nerves. Whatever's happened between last year and this year, it's got worse. I'm not saying that they're going to operate, but sure as hell I'm going to need something, because I can't live on these doses of high pain relief. It's going to be ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And initially I was told that my pelvis was actually separating, which was semi-true, but it's separating because of my back complaint. Don't ask me how those two come together. I wouldn't have a clue. So I haven't actually been for one of those tests in the last 2 years, because as far as I'm aware, it is part of my back complaint that's causing that to separate. But it's not as separated as it once was. It's now come back together by about 3 millimeters, I believe. But anyway, have to leave it here. I have to go get a drink. I'm dying of thirst. So I will be back with you very shortly, and it will be from my bedroom because Bambi's sick of being outside and my battery is coming up as needing to be recharged. So I'll see you very shortly. Hey, briefly back again. I was actually editing my video for today, and I've realised that there's one other thing I forgot to say, and I wanted to tell you about my second bad experience with a doctor. I did go into the emergency room one day, and at this stage it was the beginning of all my back pain. And a doctor walked in, and I'll never ever forget his name, and I'll say the name because I don't think he's going to be still there anyway. He's obviously been moved elsewhere. Dr. Adam told me that we do have patients, elderly patients, that come in for TLC all the time. I did get offended with that, because to me what that meant is I shouldn't really be in here. I should be at my GP's. But the thing is, the GP's wasn't open, and I needed some sort of pain relief, and I needed it now. Over the 3 years though, since I've had this little problem, I've been able to mentally sort of take the pain a little bit longer until at least I can see my GP. With him saying that, I actually volunteered myself into mental health. I sent myself to the mental health area of the hospital. And I'm glad I did, because I got the MRI that I needed. I got the medication review that I needed, and I got to see a pain specialist. So that got me going. So in a way, what Adam said about seeing people for TLC in an emergency room, yep, it probably sent me a little bit more batty, and I'm glad I went through the process I did. Knowing that you don't just go to an ER, because I do have medical background, knowing that you just don't go to an ER for a headache, let's say a headache. I know this, but the thing is, I was going for some sort of pain relief, and it's unfortunate that heroin addicts, addicts to prescription medication, like the ones that I'm on, quite often go into the ER and quite often ask for medication, because they know they've seen doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor. They doctor jump, or whatever the word may be. And of course they weren't to know that I wasn't there for that reason. But you don't judge. Just as much as I shouldn't judge you guys out there, you shouldn't judge me. So I hope he has learnt from this lesson. And if I wasn't in the early stages of my pain and my spinal injury, I probably would have given him a piece of my mind. But because the drugs were slowing my mind down in a very big way, I didn't really have the oomph, as I would say, to tell him off there and then. But I mention that now because if you guys ever so happen to watch this and you've ever experienced this type of thing, comment below and let me know. Let's see how many other people have experienced terrible doctors with terrible bedside manners. So I'll get back to I'll get back to where I was now. Well, hello. I'm back again, probably for the last time tonight too. Just gonna hold with me, put some eye drops in my eyes. This is for my corneal abrasions. And my eye doesn't have It's got a problem with making moisture. And of course, when my eyes are dry, that's when the new skin on the cornea can tear, and it's very sore. And speaking of that, my brother got something in his eye once, my older brother. He said to me, I now know how you feel with those cornea abrasions. It really hurts. Yeah, they do. Do you like my necklace? It was my mum's. God rest her soul. God rest her soul. I don't really want to talk about her right now though, because it'll bring a few tears to my eyes. I do miss her. So, oh yeah, sorry about that interruption. Hubby just needed this nasal thing to put up your nose and go. It's a Vicks thing. It's been out for years actually. So yeah, just don't want to talk about Mum. She just passed away in February, and yeah, so let's just leave it at that for now. That will be another video for another day. So I found her jewelry and I decided to put this on because she'd always wanted a fob chain. Always. She used to say that she'd always wanted to buy a nice fob chain. And there's another interruption, so I'll be right back. Wow, this vlog is going to take a bit of adjusting. Where was I? That's right. Mum always wanted to buy a fob chain, and it wasn't really until after, I think it was after my dad died, when she bought it. She bought it, I don't know whether this was bought from cash converters, secondhand, because they usually have stuff like this in there, or whether she bought it brand new. I can't remember. But that's part of the fob chain, that one there. And this one here just used to tell people that she was a diabetic, and I'm a diabetic too, so I thought I'd wear it. I want to wear something of hers because I want a constant reminder that she was there. We had a lot of bad history, but in the last few years of her life, I think we forgave each other for that, and we moved forward, and I think we can't really talk about it. So I'm just going to stop it there. I don't really want to make today's video a sad one, so I hope you've enjoyed what there has been so far. I know there hasn't been much, and I don't think I've actually taken you out of the household. Oh, I have the other night when I went to the movies, but you really only saw pieces of what was in the car. One of these days I do want to take you out and about with me, and I promise you I will, but when my back gets better. I'm now taking diazepam or Valium on top of all my other meds, so I don't think I'll be getting out too much, unfortunately, and I'm a bit dreary. Yeah, where my pupils are. Don't know whether the pupils get smaller when you're on when you're on that type of opiate, or whether they get bigger. Anyway, I can't remember. It was many years ago when I started my nursing career. Fortunately, never finished it. So, and I don't know whether I'll ever go back to it, I'm afraid. So, probably something that I wished I'd never not finished, that's for sure. So, okay, well, I'm going to try and fold some of this washing that's on my bed. I sit down to do it, and I watch YouTube while I'm folding it, and it may take me a few days to do it. So let's just see. Well, until I see you next, which is more than likely going to be tomorrow. Sorry today wasn't a very good vlog. Let's see what comes out of tomorrow, shall we? Until then, take care. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the ding dong, so that when I upload this message, you'll get a message saying that I've uploaded. Take care all. Have a lovely week, or enjoy your Sunday if you're on the other side of the hemisphere. Until next time, I bid you farewell. Taufa, soifua.